Back again, betting weekly tennis live. Wimbledon rolls along, all a part of the Bet Rivers network. Download the app, get in on the action, make your Wimbledon bets at Bet Rivers, and follow our social channels at Because We Win. It's Mitch Michaels alongside Nigel Seeley back to back. This is the first time we've done back to back days, and going all black in the heat, I think, is a bold move. But after yesterday, why not?
Well, actually, to be fair, it is in my office. I mean, I've got what I did was to put the lightest T-shirt on I could possibly find, and this was on my lightest T-shirt I could possibly find. Anyway, Mitch, excuse me for I'm being rude. I'm not going to watch. I am absolutely engulfed in this Rinderknech match. I'm so invested in this. I bet Rinderknech last night. I bet him again at plus 135. I bet him plus 110. He was 5-3 up in the final set tiebreak. It's now gone to 5-5. Not the final set, the full set tiebreak. Yeah. And I'm slightly concerned now because he looked like he was doing okay. And I am. Don't worry about my fashion quality. Worry about what the tennis action is going on here. Much more important action here. If Rinderknech wins, I could buy a whole new wardrobe.
I know.
If Zverev wins, I need to borrow that tennis T-shirt you got there.
So we're looking at it now. It's looks like Zverev's plus 110 as I speak on the Bet Rivers app, and Rinderknech is minus 152. I want to ask you too, because this match, like the Fritzman-Pesci-Pericard match, delayed, a 2-day affair. There was a lot into that second set, right? Rinderknech's played great for both the days. In a lot of ways, he could have already won this match or should be in the position. Does that give you confidence as a bettor going into this? Or do you think, okay, well, he maybe missed the chance in set two?
I think as a bettor and for a player, the confidence is for Zverev and Taylor Fritz. I mean, Taylor Fritz was done last night. I mean, Wimbledon's the only place in the world where everyone goes to bed at 10:30.
That was ridiculous, right, Nigel? Like, and I love Wimbledon. They do a lot of great things, but a curfew being enforced 42 minutes before the actual curfew was kind of a little crazy to me. But
it's a Wimbledon thing, isn't it? I mean, the way they were serving, they could have gone on until probably 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So, I mean, it's there for a reason. It's a very expensive area around that area. There's a lot of people there with they're not going to be very happy with the noise and the congestion. So, no. But it is what it is. But it doesn't help you as a bettor when you have all the incentive. I don't like to use the word momentum because momentum is a bad word in sport. I think we overuse the word momentum in sport. So they have the incentive. Everything's going well from. And Pesci-Pericard should have won that match last night in 4 sets. I mean, how Fritz come back and won it, but that's going to give him massive. I'm sorry, I'm engulfed in this. He's I know. Zverev has gone 2 sets all now, so I think that's done. I think from 5-3 to 5-5. I think that that to me, I think the dream may be over there. Well, I never hedge.
No, and that's very bold of you. I do think that you're right with momentum, but if there's ever a time to use it, it's when you're up 2 sets and you're down 2 sets and you get all the way back and claw back. You're right. I mean, set 4 of Pesci-Pericard Fritz was it like 5-2, 5-1-ish, and then isn't able to close that out with his serve. So and again, this is great. Our commenter brings it up.
Let me tell you one thing that you said there, right? And I mean, I was an odds complier betting on tennis. So a lot of people might not know my history, but I was the guy doing the book in the tennis betting market when I was like 21, 22. So I'm like 52 now. So 30 years ago, I was the guy doing the odds for you. So you would bet I was the guy doing it. The more players win tennis matches in men's singles, when it goes to the final set, you want to be with the guy who's won the 2 sets. Everyone wants to be with the guy with the momentum who's taking it back to 2-2. But if you go through statistically, the guy who's won the 2-set lead, who's taken the 2-set lead, usually gets the job done in 5 sets. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that I don't really understand why. I mean, you might be able to explain it to me. You speak to sort of more tennis players than I've ever done. But why would that be? Why would
Yeah, and I'm kind of stunned to learn that too. I think tennis players at this level, Nigel, are just so good at hitting the reset button. It's really a fascinating sport. Like, I know you're a big soccer football fan. You can't really reset after each goal or after each, there's no scoring system like it with tennis where you get blown out. They're just so used to, okay, that set's done. We're starting at 0-0 in set 2. And I think that might be part of it. I don't know the answer. I just know that, for Taylor Fritz and Pericard. I mean, Pericard yesterday did not want to play. And I understand that it was his choice. Fritz wanted to keep going. we'll see. We'll see what happens here with Fritz winning. And that's a big match, too. I want to get back to the live window, but Fritz plays Diallo next, so it doesn't get easier tomorrow for Taylor Fritz.
Yeah, I mean, the guys are saying there, rest and attack, save energy. He's got so much energy using. I get all that, but that is the little bit of hope I have now. Obviously, the live window now is really exciting. We've obviously got the match there, which I'm absolutely heavily invested in. Rinderknech. So I've sort of lost a little bit of hope in that. Zverev is minus 420. Rinderknech is plus 310. If we want to go with those statistics, that plus 310 could potentially be a bet. Total games 57.5. I mean, that is a very very high number. Just on court now, Jack Draper's taken an early break against Sebastian Baez. I think Jack Draper will absolutely annihilate to Baez in. Minus 9.5 is the spread here at minus 114. I think he's got a massive boost today that Bublik got beat. So his route into round 3, psychologically, he's got a big boot. He's given very, very difficult bracket. Now Bublik is out of his way, so his path to the last 16 is pretty good. And I think he will blow Baez away. So I quite like that in play straight away, minus 9.5 on Draper here to win this match. He's going to win. Baez is nothing on the last, doesn't offer anything.
We also got Monfils Humbert. Monfils up a set on serve early second against Hugo Humbert, minus 130. Fees right now. Humbert is minus 110, so that match could have a lot of tennis left. Ben Shelton up a set at 30-all against Alex Bolt, so at 4-all in the second, so he's a big favorite there. Another interesting one, looking at the line here, Riley Opelka up a set, but serving to stay in the second one, so he's got Shevchenko. And I bring this up to say, Opelka right now minus 500, Nigel. We saw a lot of upsets outright on the men's side and women too, but we saw Musetti go down. Obviously, Pegula on the women's side go down. We saw Bublik out. All these trendy names, everyone coming in, big favorites, Nigel. Day 2, round 1, just wiped away.
Wiped away, and I do think the weather has we've been speaking about it yesterday. We spoke about it today with Sean Calvert on the latest Betting Weekly Game Bet match, which is now live on the Betting Weekly studios. I do think the weather is an important factor, and I think a lot of people have just burnt essentially on the weather. Pegula was awful, and it goes back to that kind of strategy that I've spoken to you about it, Mitch, as well. John McEnroe said the week before Wimbledon, the week before a major, you want to get to the quarterfinals. You want to just go through the motions. You don't want to win a tournament. Pegula wins a tournament in Berlin. She goes through a big match against Rontek. She comes to Wimbledon, different grass court, no preparation on the grass court, and then she gets beat. Now, I picked Pegula to win Wimbledon this year, but we recorded that show on the Friday when the draw was made. So the draw was made on the Friday, recorded on the Friday. She's got a very easy bracket. On the Saturday, she has to play Iga Swiatek. Now, that was a monumental effort. She played the day before. The line moved massively. She went from 33-1 to 14-1. Did we have a bad bet, or were we just unlucky? I don't think we had a bad bet because the line went halved. It went from 33-1 to 14-1 to win the tournament. But she's coming in totally different conditions. She hasn't had any time to practice. And there is a lot to be said now for anybody going into majors. Do not go deep in the tournament before. Do not try to win a 500. If you want to win a major, you win a 500. It's very rare that these people do it. Now, I didn't know that when I gave the tip. That was on the Friday. If I'd known that, probably would have done anything different. Probably not. But it's something to think about.
It's a true comment we have in the show that just flashed. Greek Sport 1 out. Maya Joint 1 out. Round 1. Pegula out. Taylor Fritz barely hung on. So there is a real correlation in that one. I was actually stunned of all the names. I mean, Musetti going out to Bashishvili. I guess it was a style, but a style that Bashishvili played. But Musetti just getting hit off the court was something. As was, Nigel, the theory of Musetti and Pegula had trendy outfits walking out, so maybe just fade those people that have the nice kits because they just lose apparently.
Yeah, maybe, but we were very strong on Bashashvili. Sean Calvert gave him as one of his bets of the first round at 3-1 to win it because of Musetti's injury concerns. We got greeted by lots of people on social media and lots of people on the YouTube comments saying the reason he hasn't been playing is because he wants to save himself for Wimbledon. But you can't just go a month without playing a main level tennis match. You can't go from a semi-final at the French Open to suddenly go and play at Wimbledon. in different conditions, just like that. It's impossible. You might have all the great levels, and I think this is one thing that I wanted to touch on today. I mean, I'm not very happy today, Mitch. Yesterday I was quite happy. I was in the Hawaii show. I feel happy today.
I know.
We had a few bets today. Eight bets I think we had across our shows, and people have been quite negative about some of the bets, and people have been quite negative about, oh, this one was a loser, that one was a loser. Well, what we do on this channel, see that little thing on the right hand side there? It gives you every P&L of every single show. We don't do any hiding. We don't go away from our losses. We stand by our results. And if you'd bet every pick that we have given on this show in the first round of Wimbledon, you would have made profit. So stop moaning about the 2 or 3 losers. Look at the bigger picture. There you are on the right-hand side. If you find any other betting channel that gives their P&L, whether they're winning or losing like we do, well, then good luck to you, but you won't. That's a fact.
Well, that was a great speech. I think the moral of the story is spend more money with us. It's going to win you more. And I was going to focus on the positives. Fading Jacqueline Christine on grass, a worthwhile bet. Samnez rolls along.
That was a flaky one. We were 5-3 down in the first set. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble here when I go on with Mitch tonight. Everyone's going to be investing this. But the theory come through. We did okay. We got a lot of interest. We got a lot of people betting, and that was good. We were unlucky on a couple of bets. Mukova was injured, that one as well. But the thing I'm saying is that the first round so far, if you've watched all the tennis shows here, if anybody had not, if I clipped up every pick we had given, you would make money for level stakes. If you didn't do the ones that we didn't fancy the Bachelashvili, that's on you. That's not on us. That's on you. If we're betting Bachelashvili to win the match at 3-1, and you said, I don't want to bet that, but I'm going to bet Burridge, I'm going to bet Eubank, that is entirely up to you. That's your decision. But our decision is to give you the picks, and that's what we do.
We also hedged pretty well what was going to assess pretty well what ended up happening in the Kekmanovic-Mickelson match. Great 5-setter, but 5th set, it was Kekmanovic who had a little more left in the tank on this second hot day at Wimbledon. So
you called it, Mitch. You called it. You said it. You said if it got to the 5th set, he was the guy to be much more physically in a better shape for these kind of conditions. So yeah, you called it, and we got it right. So there are things we do wrong, and there are things we do right. But the one thing is here on this channel is ultra always transparent. I'm looking at some of the in-play window now. Forget about yesterday. That's gone.
Forget it.
Thomas Martin Etcheverry. Grass court, vulnerable, not for me. End of his career. Jack Pinnington Jones. I wouldn't even say that Jack Pinnington Jones was a household name in the Jack Pinnington Jones household. But the Brits have done well. Grass court, plus 145 in play, or even plus 3.5 and minus 121 with Bet Rivers now live in the window. I quite like that. I'm a big fade of Thomas Martin Etcheverry on grass at this stage of his career, minus 180. It's not. That's not a bet for me.
How are we saying too about, because Ugo goes up, Humbert goes up a break 4-1. So we got 4-1, a set down, but up the break. The over-under right now is 41.5. And just focusing on this match, some bigger names, obviously. Are we expecting a long match? Is that over a good bet? Would you think that it could be under that number? Any thoughts on the Frenchman affair?
I think the thing is with that match is it's all about what Monfils has got in the tank, isn't it? I mean, if he can get the crowd going, night matches. We saw some of the incredible scenes at the French Open in Roland Garros when he was on one of the outside courts and he got everyone going in a night match. I'm not quite sure whether he can get Wimbledon going like that, but if he can get them behind him, Humbert could fold. But I just think at this stage of his career, in his life, he hasn't had a great grass court record. I would be probably leaning towards the under, because the line may be looking at peak Monfils 2 years ago and hoping they can get the atmosphere. I think Monfils now is totally about adrenaline. It's all about getting everyone pumped and getting that adrenaline going. If he can't do it at Wimbledon, which is very much sedate, in Paris he can get them all going on an outside court. But at Wimbledon, I'd probably be looking at the under there, Mitch, to be perfectly honest with you.
Other women's match I wanted your thoughts on, Nigel. Is there any chance that in the All-American affair, Taylor Townsend on grass with the way she plays can give Kenin a match, give her some trouble? Match just about to go. I think the first point actually just happened as we record this.
I think the fact it's a night match and the temperature's a little bit cooler may help Taylor Townsend, because obviously she's about power. She's a very big, athletic woman, and I think in the peak heat in the early afternoon, she might struggle. That one there could be one that could go over on the games. Mm-hmm. What's the game? What are we looking at the games line in that one now?
We're looking at 22.5, which
it's quite a high number.
Yeah, I kind of like 3.5, the number on the spread, because I feel like she can get to tie breaks, maybe not, push them to some long sets, even if it's straight sets. But
yeah, 22.5. That's a high number for women's. If it was 20.5,
Kenin has dips though. Like if you watch her play, like she has dips in her level through the course of a match. So I think there'll be an opening. But yeah, just curious because Townsend, a world-class doubles player, and does something that very few players do in 2025, comes to net. So
maybe. And what was your way of thinking? I mean, forget about me for a minute.
Yeah,
how are you looking at this game? It's an all-American affair. You're an American tennis fan. What do you think?
It's funny. Kenin beat Coco last year or 2 years ago, and that kind of sprung the renaissance there. I fancy myself a bit of a coward when it comes to picking outrights in this case, but I think I like this spread number at 3.5. I would expect a tight. I kind of think it will be like a 7-6, 7-6, 7-5 matchup or so. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think Taylor Townsend can give her a match. I really do. So,
like I say, I think that she's a very physical girl. Mm-hmm. She hits the ball hard. She's I think the conditions here will suit her that it's cooler, and that gives me a chance. It's going to be power hitting. They've met 6 times before though, 3 wins apiece. A lot of them in the early career.
Right.
The last time they met, Townsend won 6-3, 6-3. When he won at Wimbledon, Kenin won 6-3, 6-3. So there's nothing to gauge on the rankings. But obviously Townsend come through 3 matches in qualification and never dropped a set. So there's the fact that she's used to the grass courts a little bit rather than Kenin coming here cold may give her some advantage. So if you want to get with Mitch, I will listen. Mitch is a poker player. He's a cagey guy. He doesn't give much away, but if he's sort of inclining that he wants to bet Townsend plus 3.5, like that's a tip in itself. So I'm going to log on bet now. Make sure I bet
okay. Now there's a lot of pressure. What have I done? No, I think that's a good one, and I think I want to get your thoughts, Nigel. Here, Betting Weekly Tennis Live, all part of the Bet Rivers Network. Make sure you also subscribe to the YouTube channel. A lot of great growth there, a lot of great stuff there across the board. But players today that might have impressed you and maybe that we're looking to bet on in the coming rounds, I got to give a shout out because I saw her name mentioned in the chat and I completely agree. Mboku, the Canadian, beats Magdalena Freck. This is someone that's going places. So maybe jump on now while you have a chance where there might be some value still. Or Clara Towson right there.
I mean, I think if you look at the men's draw, there's a lot of journeyman who won today. Body van der Sandschub, Offner, Munard was a good win against Bublik, but usually when you have a big win, you want to fade in the next round. Dan Evans was a good win for him, going through his personal conditions. I think he's going to play Novak Djokovic next, so that's going to be difficult for me. So there's not really many in the men's draw that I would look at and think, the one person I think the draw might open up for her. And I hate to say it because she's not on my favourite list. It's Alexandrova.
Yeah.
I think in that quarter now, Jessica Pegula's gone out.
Yeah.
If someone who didn't cash for you with 11 match points is still taking me some time to get over that. So I think she would be someone that I would be looking at who may go deep in the tournament. I think that would be someone that I think has got an opportunity. Jack Draper's got, he's winning 5-2 now, serving to take it to 6-2. Mm-hmm. With Bublik out, he's going to get confidence there. And I think, I was just, before we go on to some matches for tomorrow, I'm just going to say one thing. Alcaraz yesterday played way, way below his standard. Admittedly, he played against an inspired Fabio Fognini, who has got all the shots in the book, who's one of the best players on his day to watch, one of the entertainers in tennis world, Mm-hmm. But on that particular day, 5 seeds in Alcaraz's half of the draw went out. Rune, Tsitsipas, Rinderknech, Medvedev, and Berrettini. Fritz has gone through an absolute marathon match, so he's going to be exhausted after winning Eastbourne. Zverev is in the middle of a marathon match as well. They've played today, which means they've got to then play again tomorrow.
Yeah.
The late one. So that's not helping Fritz and not helping Zverev. So Alcaraz has won. He will be on a show court. So you know that Alcaraz will get his job done on centre court under the roof. The other players will have to play on the outside course. But Alcaraz has gone out from plus 130 to plus 140 in the betting.
Ooh.
Just on that performance. But everything on the draw has gone completely in his favour. Everything you could possibly imagine for his future. And this is where betting becomes silly because everybody thinks, they don't think of, short-term variance is what they think of. They think of, okay, Alcaraz isn't playing very well, but they don't think, 5 people have gone out. Fritz is struggling. Zverev is struggling. They've played epic matches as well across 2 days. Alcaraz will have his feet up, relaxed. He plays the Brit in the next round. He'll win that easy. I think plus 140 Alcaraz to win the tournament right now is a bet.
Who can beat him and who has beaten him on grass too? Like let's start there too. Like you got to actually
Djokovic and Sinner.
So there's where I'm.
And they're both in the opposite half of the draw.
And we saw that match, and you mentioned the weather. We've mentioned the weather a bunch, how hot it is. That match, that performance, which was bad for his standards, was very little to do with weather. That was just him being off and being maybe sloppy and call it carelessness, call it, maybe losing his focus. But
bit of nerves as well, Mitch. Defending champion, trying to make history, go win. Rinderknech.
Yeah.
Oh, we could eat tonight, Mitch. We could eat steak dinner. Wow. Let's see where we are now in Bet Rivers with that break. He is minus 230 to win the match. Zverev at plus 160. Oh, come on.
Oof. Over under is at 58.5 for games right now. So,
I never thought we'd get to numbers of 58.5 when they changed the new format at Wimbledon. I thought the days of 58s and 60s were long gone. But
do you remember? I just thought here that Isner Mahut match. Were you looking at the odds?
I was working on that day, Mitch, and I tell you, gospel true story.
Yeah.
I swear, this is a true story. So I was an odds compiler that day, and back in the day, there was a thing in England called spread betting. So what it meant that we would make a line 42 to 44. So 42, 44. Mm-hmm. If you thought you go over 44, it was like a stock exchange. She would buy $100 at 44. If it come in at 50, you'd win $600. The difference between 50 and 44. Do you understand? Are you with me so far?
I got you.
And if it come in at 36 and you paid 44, you would lose $800.
Okay.
So the one bookmaker in question in the UK had an odds of 41. And I rang them up and I wanted to buy £100. So it was about $120 at 41.
Yeah.
They knew that I was going to buy it and they called me up to 43. They said the line was 39.41. They said 41.43. And I said, no, I'm not going to trade. Well, it was the biggest mistake ever in my life. I mean, so I would have. So for every game over 43, I would have won $100 or £100. And it was 100. What was it? 100 and.
I mean, the final set had 138 games.
It was 183. So I would have made 183. So I'd have made 100 and I would have had $14,000.
Well,
and I said no. True, that is. I swear that's a true story. I was working then.
I wish we could have had a live total on Bet Rivers like now where I looked and it said like over under 175.
Screenshot that forever because you're never going to see something like that again.
Well, before we get to tomorrow, and we got the live window to poke in on, I did want quick thoughts if you had them, Nigel, on matches later today. We've got some great comments in the chat. People that are on Yastremska, maybe 6.5 to cover that game against Coco, who's on her least favorite surface. And we also have a question of whether Parks Bencic over 2.5 sets is a good play. So, any thoughts on those two?
I think Parks Bencic could be. I quite like Parks actually to beat. Bencic, really. I think Bencic is coming. I'm not quite sure if she's really at the peak of her fitness. Again, could be a bet, but nothing I would really, really, really want to be advising like for heavy stakes. I mean, where I am now, I'm looking at this match. Obviously, we're involved in Rinderknech. I quite like the play on the other British boy, the Jack Pennington Jones plus 160. We've got Draper minus 9.5. Bayers has gone down injured there, but he should be okay. 6-2, he's won the first set. That is pretty much where I am. I do think that Gauff has had it very favourable with the conditions today. I think that the fact that she's playing late and it's going to play a little bit slower tonight and is going to help Gauff massively. If she played early today, first match on court, I think that is not ideal for Yastremska bettors. So not ideal.
They played in Madrid, I think it was Madrid, right? Yeah, where Gauff made the final. It was an ugly match. Yastremska plays very aggressive. She's going to hit a lot of winners and a lot of errors. I don't know that Gauff necessarily likes it, but yeah, in a fact-finding mission, I don't know how this match will go on grass because you play Madrid clay altitude. It's completely different. So, and
I think it's very different today at 1 o'clock compared to today at 8 o'clock local time. So I think that helps Gauff. The shock, if you wanted the shock, you wanted that match to be scheduled early.
Yeah. We also got Bolt Shelton going. Looks like a tiebreaker coming there. And Townsend wins the first game, so we're rolling in that one. Azarenka on the court. Yeah, Nigel, let's look at tomorrow because we got some graphics, some matches that you wanted to highlight. And I got to start with this one, right? Because
I know where you start.
We got Emma Raducanu. We got Marketa Vondrousova, minus 200, plus 160 for Emma. There you see the spreads for over-under game spread set betting as well. All right, let's hear it. Let's see if we get a shock or we get what we expect.
You're getting exactly what you expect. I mean, Vondrousova was excellent in her first round match. I know she had a little bit of struggle in the second round. I didn't think Raducanu played at all well. There is some rumours going around the locker room that I've got a friend of mine who's at Wimbledon who messaged me yesterday. Raducanu's back injury is playing her up. And it's okay to beat the British number 15 in round number 1, but up against a former Wimbledon champion who's in the form of her life. Well, not since she won, not the form of her life, but the best form she's had since she won the tournament. I'm not just saying it because I'm anti Emma Raducanu, but I do think that Vondrousova wins this well. I would be quite inclined if you wanted to bet on the money line to take odds of minus 185. Put it in a parlay. That would be a great. But I think she'll cover the spread. I think she'll cover the 3.5. I bet that today. Nothing. It's literally nothing against Raducanu in terms of her ability, but there is rumours around circulating Wimbledon that she isn't fit. She has a back problem,
right?
And against a player in the form of the year, former Wimbledon champion, I think that's a decent bet her to cover the 3.5.
Yeah, Vondrousova really did actually impress me in that tiebreak, right? Kessler yesterday battles back, gets to a tiebreak, and Vondrousova just locks it down. So yeah, she's playing well. She's moving up, and with opportunities galore.
Confident as well, really confident. I mean, hitting the ball sensationally, and she's got belief that she can win it. She believes she can win it. She's beat Sabalenka on grass. She's beaten the tournament champion recently. I think she's. I honestly think on what we've seen this year. In the last, not the year, I suppose in the last month or so, I'd make Vondrousova more around about a minus $3 bet than a minus 185, minus 2.
We got a pair of men's matches that you wanted to discuss. First up, we have Fery taking on Darderi. Close, tightish line with Darderi, the slight favorite. That over/under total 40.5. So we're expecting, the way this is priced, a tight, long match. But how do you see this one going?
Well, just to show that I am patriotic, and I do cheer some of the Brits on. Yeah. I like Arthur Fery here to win this match. I think it's plus 1 or 2 is a decent price against an opponent that really doesn't really convince me at all about on his grass court game. They're both players that will it'll be a long match. There's no doubting about it. This is going to be a long match. Darderi come through an epic against Safin. 3-2 in really, really hot conditions. And the trend is to oppose people when they come through 5-setters. And it's been a good opening round for the Brits. And I think Arthur Fery, as a dog, is a worthy bet here, so I'm going to go for him at even money to beat him. I think he's brought up on grass. Darderi hasn't been brought up on grass. I know he beat Saffiolini in round 1, but prior to that, his record was pretty poor coming into this tournament. He lost his last 7 matches.
Yeah.
He didn't win a match at Eastbourne, didn't win a match at Halle, didn't win a match at Hertogenbosch, got beaten in the first round of French Open. Not in the great form, but I think Arthur Fery, after beating Popperin, playing exceptionally well, I think he's better at even money.
We also have one more graphic to get to. It's Jordan Thompson taking on Benjamin Bonzi. Thompson on grass has done some good things here. It's plus 120. Bonzi a minus 148 favorite. Bonzi, who just beat Medvedev, takes his spot in the draw and opens up as a favorite. Is this does he keep it going? Does Bonzi keep it going, or is this the letdown spot where we've seen it? You win a big match and then you kind of fall back the next
Well,
one?
we have some inside information on this match because our senior ATP Tour handicapper Sean Calvert was at Wimbledon yesterday and watched both of these in action. And he was crying through his pims because he wasn't very happy because he bet Medvedev to win the tournament. He got beat. And he bet Copfrey to beat Thompson. And he got beat. So he wasn't a very happy man this morning when I spoke to him on Game Bet Match. If you haven't watched that, make sure you watch that podcast. It's quite funny. The first 10 minutes are a complete rant from Sean Calvert. Not happy. But he's convinced that Thompson is injured. And he thought Bonzi, on his stats, played one of the best matches he's ever played. Medvedev said straight after the match, if he plays like that, he's certain to be in round 4. Thompson, again, come through a 5-setter in heat, 2 sets to love down, has been struggling with injuries all year. And I believe here, Sean has got a different bet to me, but I am going to go very, very heavily involved in Bonzi, and I think Bonzi covers the game handicap. You can get with him on the money line again, maybe put it in a parlay with Vondrousova, Bonzi and Vondrousova in the money line, but I'm going to go for I think Bonzi wins this fairly comfortably. If he shows anywhere near the level he showed yesterday, he will beat an injury-stricken Jordan Thompson tomorrow.
Right. I think that was overlooked. Obviously, Medvedev, not his best match, issues with his attitude, but Bonzi did play well. There was 2 sides to that story. So I like you. I like that pick there. Before we wrap, just looking at other matches for tomorrow and looking at your Rinderknech bet as it rolls along, as we inch toward the finish line. Just a couple more service holds and we're there, but still a long way to go.
Jack Draper's a breakup as well in the second set. So if you took the 9.5, you're currently 4 up after set 1. You're 2-0. Going to be probably 2-1 here. Right. You've got an early break. So if you can get 6-3 second set, then you're in good shape for the 9.5. Tomorrow, there's a whole host of bets available with Bet Rivers, second round matches. Unfortunately, especially the women's draw, there's so many very heavy favourites.
I wonder with the women's draw, like one of the ones I'm looking at, because she just won today in a big upset, but does Siniakova keep it going against Naomi Osaka?
I think
slight dog.
What is it? I haven't looked at the odds yet. I thought it'd be about pick 'em net, maybe.
No, you're getting the. Let me pull it up. Siniakova is plus money in like a slight range. She is actually plus 120 for Siniakova, minus 155 for Naomi.
Yeah, so. I mean that could be a decent bet on the odds. I think that could be a bet. I mean, someone said there about why take a handicap if Thompson's likely to retire. Well, he didn't retire from 3 sets to 2, and there also is a bit of pride in these tennis matches, and sometimes when they could gas. If there's 2 sets to love down, they could gas. And Australian players, their tendency is to they tough it out. They go for it. If it was a South American, I'm not disrespectful any from South America, but if it's a South American player playing at Wimbledon and he wasn't liking the clay, he might jack it in. But Aussies tend to keep going.
Yeah, we also have the other match on the women's side. You didn't mention her. I think someone said it's your favorite player, Clara Townsend tomorrow. Galenskaya, she's minus 157.
I wouldn't bet Clara Townsend tomorrow at minus 157. I mean, I thought she was quite lucky to get very lucky today actually against the British girl Heather Watson, who's been around for years. Yeah, and she'd give her a little bit of a tough match. Her form. Townsend's form on grass isn't that great. Galenskaya is a proven player on grass. I mean, 27 and 19 in her career. She hasn't had a very, very good year this year, but I think in 2019, one of the years she went deep at Wimbledon. I can't remember what year she went.
Heather Watson?
No, Galenskaya.
Galenskaya, yeah, it's been a while ago. It's
she made last 16. She made last 16 last year. Got beat by Raducanu, but she she's a better clay court player, and Kaliskaya at plus money could be a bet there, and certainly on the handicap.
I got my eyes on the American men tomorrow. Some interesting matchups. Can Brooksby give Fonseca a match? He's still at that. He's at plus 185, which was the number I saw when he beat Greeks for. You also have Werner Tien taking on Nico Jarry. Jarry fresh off beating Holger Rune. And
I like that. I like Tien tomorrow. I think Tien tomorrow at plus money is a decent bet. Again, he ticks. Jarry is the when you have a big five set match fade.
Yeah,
big C fade.
I mean, Holger basically said like Jarry should never beat him.
Like, 9 out of 10 times. He said 9 out of 10 times I'll beat him.
What a world. That's great. We were living the 10th time. How lucky we are that we saw.
But his quote was fantastic. He said, "I don't want to be respectful, but 9 out of 10 times I beat that guy." So he was being the most respectful he could possibly be.
Yeah. And a little America, Great Britain action too. Tiafoe Norrie. So Francis Tiafoe at that -1. Maybe Cam Norrie's done well here, and he looked good in this first round match. So could be a trap.
I think the big time match, like playing on the show court, will get Tiafoe pumped. I think Tiafoe gets through there.
Okay, awesome. Well, any other final thoughts before we wind this show down, Nigel?
We'll get all I want now. All I would like is Artur Rinderknech to put an end to Alexander Zverev at -360. And my afterthoughts on the whole show is: do not gamble on things that you've watched. Do not look at something like Alcaraz and think, oh, look at what the probability lies on in the forward. He's lost 5 seeds in that match. Zverev, one of his biggest targets, is out. Fritz is absolutely going to be he's going to be absolutely out on his feet against Petchy Berregaard across 2 days. Plays the yellow, and the market has gone too big on Alcaraz on the back of one match. We'll have a conversation due next week, and he'll be -110 to win this tournament, no problem.
Yeah, my final thought is you really piqued my interest with Monfils under, because we're looking at the match right now. We're at 19. That over under is 42.5. I don't know. I don't know what Monfils has left on the grass. So that's my final thought of the
I'd like to, over here in the UK, we can press the red button and we can watch what's going on. If Monfils is getting the crowd going and they're buying into the Monfils, if they're sitting there and it's like a load of middle-aged women going, yes, it's done. But if we can get everyone pumped and everyone's been on the old...
Can you tell me what the alcohol sales are in that specific...
That's what we need to know. Yeah. If I was there, Monfils will win, but I'm not there. Monfils got no chance.
I need that data. Well, Nigel, this was a blast as always. Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel for all of our content across multiple sports. Download the Bet Rivers app. Get in on the action. Follow the social channels on X, on YouTube, and on Instagram at Because We Win. Nigel, this was fun. This is just day 2. I keep saying it. Like, we still have 12 more of these to go at Wimbledon. So I'm going to expect the unexpected.
Yeah, just quickly before we go, it looks like Sebastian Baez may have a bit of a problem where he might be forced to retire against Jack Draper, which is good for Jack Draper bettors if he has to retire, because obviously he's only going to play 1.5 sets going into round 2. But Baez doesn't fancy this at all. It might be a retirement here on centre court.
Can't wait to see Rinderknech Zverev 2 games away there. We'll monitor that one. But for Nigel Seeley, I'm Mitch Michaels. This was Betting Weekly Tennis Live. We're back tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern on the YouTube channel. Thanks to everybody for watching, commenting. Enjoy the tennis, enjoy Wimbledon, make a little money, and we will talk to you later. Thanks for watching the show.